Welcome to Coffee with Democrats, a sensible conversations. Coffee with Democrats is a grassroots movement dedicated to hearing from Democrats, lecturers, and friends from all political backgrounds who want great conversations. Coffee with Democrats is committed to increase Democrat voter registration and Democrat voter turnout by making voting more exciting and meaningful. And now here's your host of Coffee with Democrats, Kevin Dawson.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody, for showing up and being with us today. We're excited. I mean, this is an amazing opportunity for us to be here live and in person at the Oklahoma Democratic Party headquarters. We are located at, get my computer to work for me so that I can show you our address. We are located, wow, my computer is really giving me fits this morning, Scott. I'm here with Scott Hamilton.
Good morning, everybody.
We're getting started here. So the address is 3815 North Santa Fe, suite number 122, here in Oklahoma City, the heart and the heartbeat of the state of Oklahoma. And we are so excited to be here. Scott, welcome. This is a great opportunity.
It is always a pleasure. I am fortunate to have been one of your very first guests.
You were, yes.
To see this platform growing and the excitement among Democrats who are tuning in, it's energizing for me to watch someone like you doing this work, because as I say every day, the more people that know what we're doing, the more likely they are to understand and grasp onto the same message of hope.
And that's exactly right, because Coffee with Democrats, we got it started because we saw apathy that was taking place, that still is taking place. But we want to try to facilitate whatever change we can to bring people along and shed that apathetic tone so that we can start gaining back the Democratic cause in the state of Oklahoma. The Democratic Party used to be the ruling party of Oklahoma for years, for decades.
Decades, yes.
And just in the past few decades, it's been hijacked. It's been hijacked tremendously in the last 10 years by a despot organization that is trying its best to put its thumb on the back of or basically put its heel on the back of the neck of the people.
I'm glad you called it an organization, because honestly, it's not a political party anymore.
Not anymore. No, you're exactly right. So we are excited to be here. We're going to talk about a lot of topics this morning, and the most important topic that we're going to talk about is our convention that's coming up, the Democratic Convention coming up June
3rd
and 4th. Yeah, it's in Tulsa, and we're really looking forward to that convention. But before we get to talking about that, we need to talk a little bit about our Twitter space, and we need to talk just a little bit about some housekeeping for us. So there may be a lot of people who want to interject their voice. They want to come on. They want to talk about their experiences. We appreciate that. That's kind of why we started this platform, is to give people the idea to be able to talk about it. But today, we're not going to be able to have that opportunity for people to join us on conversation as much as we'd like to. So if you would, please go ahead at the bottom. There's a little bubble down at the bottom. If you have questions that you ask yourself or you want to ask David Roberts, who's going to join us here momentarily. If you have questions for us, put in the section down below. We will get to as many questions as we can. And it's very important for us to try to get to as many as questions. We also ask that for those people who are on here, please go to the top of this little screen that you're looking at. Up by the upper right-hand side, there's an up arrow with it looks like a square bottom. Click on that and share with everybody that you're on this space and you're listening to a very exciting, very good conversation with the Democratic Party and with the executive director, Scott Hamilton. So please share that you are on here and try to get more excitement and more people to listen in to this space. We also want people to understand and also feel comfortable that they don't have to be on Twitter to watch us. We're now like this over onto Facebook and onto our YouTube. So go to Coffee with Democrats on Facebook, go to Coffee with Democrats on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch this or listen to this show on those platforms as well. We're excited about that. Also, Scott, I wanted to just kind of reiterate to you, you don't know this, maybe you do know this, but to our listeners also, let everybody, Coffee with Democrats is growing. We're now in Florida, Arkansas, and Connecticut, and Ohio. And we've got a couple of those organizations on here with us today, and we're excited to have those chapter organizations joining us and spreading our Coffee with Democrats message to the grassroots movement to try to get people excited about the Democrats. We know what the outcome will be if we don't get excited. We're going to see more suppression of our rights. We've already seen how states like Oklahoma, like Texas, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee, they're taking women's rights away in droves.
And children's rights.
And children's rights, exactly right. And they're caving to the gun lobby. And we're seeing massacres almost on a daily basis throughout the United States from this steal that I think is taking place. So we want to make sure that people understand that, you know, the Democratic cause is a representation of the people. That's what democracy is. It's the people's right. And that's why the Democratic Party is so important to that, is to allow people to have the rights and the basic rights that founded our nation. So please, please pass that message on. We are also wanting other states to join in as well. I think we might be able to get Alabama on pretty soon, which Alabama is in kind of tough space right now.
They are. If I could just say this about the folks who are now a part of this effort from other states. The Oklahoma Democratic Party we are very strongly represented in the ASDC. That's the Association of State Democratic Committees. Our chair, Alicia Andrews, serves as the chair of the Midwest region of that body. I'm fortunate to serve on the executive committee of the ASDED, which is the Association of State Democratic Executive Directors. And what has been so clear to me is that I don't care if you're the bluest state or the reddest state, you can't do it all by yourself. And it takes us working across state lines. It takes us looking at what's succeeding in other places to be able to shape what our programming looks like based on the experiences of others. And so when I know that that our DNC rep for this part of the country lives in Arkansas, and she's been tuning in to this broadcast because it is exciting to see Democrats working together. And Oklahoma Democrats have been good about that for a long time.
Sure.
And the dollars that flow from Oklahoma to other states to help elect people, that's not an inconsequential number of contributions. So I think in Oklahoma we have a leg up because we understand that we need to support others and we need the support of others. So providing this opportunity for us to come together once a week, exchange ideas and learn from each other, that's a great gift that you're providing.
Well, and one of our plans very shortly is we're going to start doing a second Coffee with Democrats each week. And we're just going to have a conversation with our chapter partners and just be able to like reach out and have Audra from Connecticut and Florida come together with us so we can have a round table activity. Calais over in Arkansas is our representative over there. She's fantastic. Just, I mean, an amazing young lady. that I can't talk enough about. She is very instrumental in our growth, and we're really excited to have her with us. So we're going to have that roundtable activity, and we're going to try to do it once a week, separate from Thursdays, so that we can have another day for people to be able to listen in. And also we're going to try to ask the other people for comments on how we can make this better and more understandable, because that's the whole basis of this, is try to get people excited about democracy and get people excited about supporting the Democratic Party.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about the convention.
Sure. This year's convention it's going to be unlike anything Oklahoma has seen for decades, at least.
Mm-hmm.
We began working on this convention about a year and a half ago, and that's why we've been able to engage the level of speakers that we have, the programming that's going to be available. Someone said this is the most important event of the year for Democrats. And I argue with that a little bit, because I think that the work that Democrats do every day is the most important. Recruiting new candidates, supporting candidates, making our voices heard. But what this convention will do is energize all of us to be more effective in those efforts.
Right.
And the people that we're hearing from, there is so much excitement because, for one thing, we didn't get to do a convention 2 years ago in person because of COVID.
COVID, yes.
So this is the first time we've been able to come together in this large of a body, exchange ideas, hug necks, talk about where we want to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's true that we do elect our leaders for the next 2 years, and that's an important piece of our convention. But that's not all, because we also develop our platform, which is unique to Oklahoma. It does not stand in opposition to the DNC's platform, but it takes into account our specific needs,
Exactly,
education and healthcare and economic opportunities. And so we'll be working through that. We'll be examining our bylaws and constitution to make sure everything we're doing is relevant for today. And we really have effectively thrown out the, well, we've always done it this way approach.
Right.
Because that may be why we got into this position, because there was some unwillingness to change. But now all that's gone. We are open to every idea.
So I was at a meeting. We did a Zoom for the 4th Congressional District here in Oklahoma, and we did a Zoom. And I was excited to hear that one of the things that's going to change in this convention is the process in which you address a resolution and you ask for a vote, where before we would have to stand in line. We would have to get up, hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. We have, this resolution that we want to pass. And then you would take about 45 minutes just for the people in the room to make a vote.
On one resolution.
Yes. And now we're going to be able to expedite that through electronic means.
Yes.
That to me I was just thrilled when I heard that.
And that process of change does not come about easily, because as we all know, technology advances every day.
Yes.
And things that we were prepared for a year ago, well, frankly, they're obsolete.
Right.
So we have engaged some really smart folks to help us make this state of the art, to make voting easy, to make it, everything is recorded. So that's the beautiful part. There's no question about, well, did they count my vote? Because we will have all that information available. And so it's that's a technological change, but more importantly, I think, is it allows us to move through an agenda at a pace that makes sense. Because if you argue for 45 minutes over an Oxford comma,
right,
or no, I think that should have a semicolon, well, we can all wordsmith something to death.
Yes.
And every time that happens, more people begin to doze off, or they simply just grow tired and say, I'm going.
It causes disillusion.
It does.
So, that's the part that I found really exciting about this is we can, and again, we're not shedding tradition.
No.
We're actually bringing tradition up to our current standards or up to our current technology.
That is so well put, because we have a tradition that we must be proud of.
Right.
We must reckon with the good things we've done historically, and so we're not throwing out all the principles on which we stand, but we're making it simply easier for people to participate and be decision.
Right. And it keeps things flowing, and that's the thing about the convention is there's a certain amount of pageantry with it, but again, there's a working process through this, and the nuts and bolts of the convention. Instead of being mired down in quicksand, we can navigate through that faster, more efficiently, more effectively, and we can get on to the next topic, and we can start working our way through this much more efficiently. And it's something that this will be my very first convention.
Oh, well, you are in for a treat, because and other people I've talked to are like, oh, we're doing convention again. But there are so many people who understand not only is this necessary, but it's an exciting time to be a Democrat in Oklahoma, because we are thinking innovatively, and we're not doing it in an ivory tower somewhere.
Right.
We are, it's one thing to say you're the big tent party, but it's another when you demonstrate it.
That's exactly the difference between us and the other organizations.
That's it. That's exactly right.
Because we are the big tent party. We do embrace every single person, no matter their background,
right? No
matter their religion, no matter the color of their skin, or the color of the blue jeans, as I got on blue jeans today, and you got on a pair of shorts. Who cares? Who cares? It's about representing each individual, and that's what I've supported. I have been a lifelong Democrat. Ever since I first registered at 18 years old, back in 1979, whenever they changed the election laws back then so that I could register, I didn't have to wait until I was 21 anymore.
Right.
So that was something that I joined. My father was a Democrat all of his life. He lived through Roosevelt, Kennedy, all the great times that I look for. I look back on and I think, man, those are wonderful times. But you know what? I lived through the Clinton years
and the Obama years
recently.
And now we're seeing the work of a president who cares about the people.
A true president.
Yes.
A true president. Somebody who represents the people and does the people's work in the people's house.
That's right.
And that's what I love about where we're at right now. There's some problems that are going on here in Oklahoma that we'll address maybe for another time. But the idea is we are moving forward with the Democratic cause through this convention process. And the convention is it is a 2-day process. And one of those things that is, all right, we've talked about excitement. Now we can talk about excitement at another level. Let's talk about who's going to be a keynote speaker for us.
I will do that, but then I also want to look at some of the other speakers.
Sure.
But obviously our Carl Albert dinner, and that it's named after our native son, Carl Albert. And it is a time when we recognize people who have made invaluable contributions to our party.
Sure.
From young leaders to lifetime achievement.
Yes.
Leaders. And so it's a celebratory time. And when we asked Beto O'Rourke, and I really could just say Beto and everybody would know who I'm talking about, would he come to be our speaker? We got an affirmative answer from him within 15 minutes.
Excellent.
He said, absolutely, I can't wait. And my gosh, he really is excited because, and if any of you have heard him speak, especially in person, you know that he is among the greatest speakers of our generation, because he speaks from his heart. He speaks to the heart. He's very aspirational, but he's also grounded in reality.
Right.
And I cannot wait to spend time with him that evening. There's a chairs reception before that people can attend,
right, yeah.
and have a picture with him, spend a bit of time there. But as the keynote speaker, he is going to launch us, I believe, into a brand new era
Right.
of excitement, and give us the permission that I think so many of us need, and that is to not be whisper Democrats,
Yes.
but instead to be loud in our proclamation. I'm proud to be a Democrat. I'm going to say it loudly,
Right.
because we're not going anywhere.
Right.
We are here. We're committed to making a future that's better for every single person in this state. I don't care what party you're associated with. The work we're doing will positively impact unaffiliated people, people who are unregistered,
Right.
people who are registered as Republicans and Democrats. It will help children and seniors and everyone in between. And to hear this message coming from this man is so exciting. It's been a long time since I've been as excited to hear a speaker as I am him. And I just mentioned that we do still have some seats available, not many now,
Right.
but we do still have some seats available. And if I could just I'll just give our primary website, because all the information is there. It's okdemocrats.org. And you can find out more about Beto, about our speakers. We have a video of Beto there announcing that he's coming and talking about how proud he is to be with us. And someone said, well, I want to know how much you're paying this man to come. And I said, well, that's real easy. We're covering his Southwest airline ticket from Austin,
Right.
and a one-night stay in a hotel. He is not charging us one penny to come speak. That's how committed he is to the people of Oklahoma.
And
that's an
wonderful.
amazing thing.
That truly is, because that is the epitome of somebody who backs up his words with deeds.
Yes.
And that is so heartwarming too, because one of the things, and I have a little speech written for later in the show, but one of the things that I'm asking people is never surrender.
We can't.
Never surrender Oklahoma, no matter how bad it looks. Never surrender. And that's the exciting thing about Beto coming here. And you talked about our other speakers. The speakers that were going to come here and talk about, Cindy Munson is probably one of the greatest female leaders that Oklahoma has ever had.
We are so fortunate to have her.
And I can't wait to hear her and have her talk to us a little bit. I've heard her once before live in a very short, brief session, but I'm excited to hear from her, from other speakers, because it gets that goosebump feeling, that tingling down the back of your spine, where you're like, I'm motivated now to go out and do something. I'm not going to sit around and say, well, somebody needs to do this. I'm that somebody. I need to get out and start doing something.
I'm so glad you said that, because that's one of the things we need to run more candidates. We need to recruit better candidates. And my question is, who is the we?
Yeah,
because this party is not its officers and staff.
Right.
This party is every registered Democrat in the state. And it's one thing to say, okay, we need you to go recruit people.
Right.
It's another thing for us to give you the tools to be able to do that.
Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Get that video up here, and we will just play that video.
Absolutely.
Bear with us just a couple of seconds here while we're working through some technical issues here. But I'm going to talk just a little bit about next week's special guest. We have, again, one of the great leaders, female leaders for the state of Oklahoma, that's going to be with us next Thursday on Coffee with Democrats. We're going to do it live in Norman, Oklahoma. We're going to be with Mary Boring, Senator Mary Boring.
What a gem.
She
really is.
She truly is. So there's two people who I think are instrumental in helping us get Coffee with Democrats kicked off in Oklahoma. One of them is Scott Hamilton. He was so gracious to meet us down in Norman at Beanstalk Coffee and Snow. He came down there and he supported our effort when we were just first starting to get Coffee with Democrats going. And who else was there with us at the time? And that was Mary Bourne. Mary was she is such a fantastic leader. She has got so much institutional knowledge within the state of Oklahoma on how the laws are written. She really goes up to the state house and so many different committees and stuff that are out. It is really an amazing opportunity for us to have that conversation with Mary, and I'm really looking forward to it. So my computer's got some glitches.
It's actually not your computer. I was mistaken. That video is available at okdemocrats.org/YouTube.
I see.
So it's on our YouTube page. It's also on our Facebook page. So I apologize. It's not on our website.
That's quite all right. We can still get over there and find it here as we move along. But anyway, we will let's talk a little bit about some of our other speakers who are going to be on.
Our Sunday convention keynote, I had a beautiful conversation with Ken Martin this morning. Ken Martin is arguably one of the greatest Democratic state chairs that this country has seen in a very long time. He also serves as the president of the ASDC, the organization I mentioned a moment ago, and is vice chair of the DNC. And when our chair, Alicia Andrews, asked him would he come, he didn't think twice. He said, yes, when is it? I will be there. Turns out it's the same weekend that his youngest son is graduating from high school.
Oh, my goodness.
So he's leaving the graduation and flying to Dallas so that he can be in Tulsa on Sunday morning. Ken is somebody that we need to hear from, because when he was first elected as chair of the Minnesota Democratic Party, they were seriously in debt. They were seriously disorganized. They had some major problems to overcome. Well, under Ken's leadership, they have done just that. They have become a solid, strong blue state, and it just continues to grow in the right direction. And he frequently compares Oklahoma to Minnesota.
Right.
And the first time he did that, I said, Ken, that makes no sense, because we are in such a red state with such a strong supermajority. And he said, oh, it makes perfect sense, because when I stepped into the role, we were experiencing some of the same things Oklahoma has experienced these last several years. And he said, but watching Oklahoma not just climb out of a hole, but to build on all of the successes, he said, that's what we did in Minnesota. So that's going to be an exciting talk on Sunday. But on Saturday, now I should mention that everyone is welcome to come to Sunday to convention, Saturday or Sunday or both. And there's no charge for anything except the Carl Albert dinner. That's how we pay for everything, frankly.
Sure.
But all of these sessions on Saturday are open to everyone, as well as the business of the convention taking place on Sunday. People can come as guests, see how things are done. And I believe that that's going to encourage people to get more involved. But on Saturday, we have a series of breakout sessions, and one of them is just designed for county chairs. I am very proud to report that we have stood up a number of previously dormant counties. These are counties that are now active. They're building their membership. They're creating a voice for themselves. I'm thinking about Caddo County. Now, you would think Anadarko would have had a strong party. Well, it's been dormant for many, many years. One man said, enough of this.
Right.
I don't know how to do it, but I want to create something here. He reached out to us. We have been working with Adolphus Gumbi for months now. And what has happened is he has created an energy on the ground in Caddo County. We are so thrilled to have them coming to convention as delegates. And that's just one of the counties. There are a number of others that are active now. And so this particular meeting, county chairs, we have two great speakers. Rob, the immediate past chair of Oklahoma County, was a tremendous leader in the largest county in Oklahoma. And we have Laura Pounders, who's coming to us from Pontotoc County. Laura, I mean, you talk about an example of rural excellence. She has done such great things. So we both have rural and urban. But this is an opportunity for county chairs to come and say, I'm frustrated, or look what we did, and this was a success. And to work together. We talked earlier about working across state lines. Well, this is together across county lines, learning from one another, growing. Our African American Federation will be featuring Precious McKesson. Precious is a friend of mine.
Thank goodness.
She's the executive director of the Nebraska Democratic Party. She worked in the White House. This is somebody who knows politics inside out. And she is a speaker at the African American Federation. Our Native American Federation is Rebecca Jim. I mean, you talk about a celebrated woman in the Native American community in Oklahoma. And she is going to enliven this federation in a way that takes advantage in the best possible way of all of the Native folks in Oklahoma who are feeling so marginalized because of its continuing rage against Native Americans.
Right.
And his fights with the tribes that started even before he was elected the first time. So to have Rebecca Jim joining us, that's really an accomplishment.
You know, speaking of her, that would be one of those avenues that I think would be very good for the state of Oklahoma, is to see more Native Americans. And then the previous speaker that you were talking about, getting the African American population excited about getting out and voting instead of being marginalized and feeling like they're disenfranchised and no longer part of the process and kind of surrendering. Let's get them excited and let's build them up and let's get them going to the polls and let's make change in Oklahoma.
I'll tell you, that's what she's doing in Nebraska.
Good.
And we can use her blueprint right here. So this is why we've engaged some of these speakers. This is really exciting to me. We have, it's called OHAPPY, the OHAPPY Club, which stands for Oklahoma, Hawaiian American, and American Pacific Islanders.
Excellent.
I mean, look, we have a big Asian Pacific population in Oklahoma.
Right.
Many of them are Republicans. Many of them are just not involved. This will give us an opportunity to engage these folks on a brand new level. And the fact that the guest speaker for that is Andy Fugate, one of my favorite legislators.
Yes,
the man, every time he opens his mouth, pearls of wisdom come forth.
Yes.
He's just brilliant. So he'll be the guest speaker for that group. We also have training in National Democratic Training Committee will be here looking at what we're doing and showing people how to be more effective, really hands-on training for our delegates. But I'm not going to stop there, because our Stonewall Federation, which is a federation of LGBTQIA2+ folks and their allies, has a panel discussion with LGBTQ+ folks who are legislators. Senator Kay Floyd,
Good.
Representative Jared Deck, who you know very well from Norman, and Representative Annie Menz from South Oklahoma City, Norman area. Yeah. So they're going to be talking about engaging a group of people who sadly don't vote in the ways that in the numbers that we need them to vote.
Right.
And I get it, because Oklahoma has not been friendly recently, these last few decades, to the gay and affiliated community. It just hasn't.
Right.
But I think that this panel is going to show us what can happen when we work together and give people reason and incentive, not to just be involved in the party, but actually to register to vote and then go to the polls.
And that's such an important thing, because you're seeing a rise of DeSantis down in Florida. You can see his daily attack on the gay, lesbian, LGBTQ community.
Oh yeah.
And that is not an attack. It's an all-out war that he's he wants to continue to marginalize and continue to disenfranchise. And it's amazing to me because it from friends, family who are part of the LGBTQ, there seems to be a lot of money there that just kind of gets held back. People don't want to get involved. And I want to see more LGBTQ people get involved.
And I think that this discussion is going to really show us advantages of what happens when we do that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I'm really excited about that. I don't know if you're familiar with David Pepper, but David Pepper is the former chair of the Ohio Democratic Party, best-selling author and his focus is how do you organize at a grassroots level in a red state?
Okay.
And he's written a book that's just gone wild. It's an amazing book. He's got another one coming out, and he's doing a soft launch, which means the book is not even available on Amazon yet.
Right.
But he will have books available at a bookstore in Tulsa, where he will be talking about his new book and signing copies of that book on Friday evening. And then on Saturday, he will lead the discussion in our rural breakout session. So he's going to be providing real proven techniques for rural Oklahomans to organize right where they are, to give them a voice, to show them how they can use that voice to affect change at city council, mayor's office, their county officials, and certainly all the way up the ballot.
And it's David Pepper.
Yes.
All right. I want to throw one out here. Ray, you're in Ohio. You're listening in. There's a great person for you to reach out to for your Ohio Coffee with Democrats discussion as well. And we're going to reach out to him here in Oklahoma to get him on Coffee with Dems down here.
So he's a great speaker, a terrific author, and just a genuinely very nice fellow. And he's a pleasure to work with. And the fact that he's coming here to launch his book, to speak to us, that's a real big get for us. We have a Latine Federation. I need to explain that term. It started as the Latino Federation.
Uh-huh.
The name changed to the Latinx Federation for it to be more inclusive.
Right.
But that term never really caught on in the Hispanic American population.
Sure.
And it's not for the party to decide what a federation is called. It's up for its members to decide. And so they decided this year they're changing the name to the Latine Federation, which is Latine. It's a relatively new term, but it's all inclusive.
Right.
And so I'm excited about that as a step because we've seen some good leadership in Juanita Sykes Romo as chair, and she's stepping down. We have new leaders coming in, but the featured speaker in that session is the youngest state representative, and that's Arturo Alonso Sandoval, just a terrific young man, bright as a bulb, full of excitement and energy and ideas. And one of the things that impressed me the most when I met him is he said, I don't know what I'm doing. I need to be quiet and listen.
Sure.
Well, he's done that to great effect. And now he's got a message that he's imparting to others. So that's going to be really, really good. Our Young Democrats of Oklahoma, they're doing two things. They're having Carl Albert After Dark and a sneakers ball. So they're inviting everyone to wear their fancy clothes from the dinner, but change into sneakers, come dance, have drinks, and mingle with all those young folks. But at the breakout session, Coleman Eldridge, who's the chair of the Kentucky Democratic Party, will be their featured speaker. He's a young, progressive Democrat, has done great things to mobilize young people in Kentucky. And when we announced that he was coming, it was very interesting because I have friends in their 50s and 60s who are familiar with his work, and they're coming to convention to hear this man speak to young people.
Good.
So you talk about a synergy. And finally, and certainly by no means last, our Veterans Federation has invited, and she gratefully and graciously accepted the invitation. That's Dr. Sheila Chamberlain.
And she's the very first woman aviator, isn't that right?
She is the very first woman aviator. She, African-American woman.
Right. There you go.
Brilliant. I mean, my gosh. And so she's coming to speak to our veterans, but I should be real clear. I'm saying speak to our veterans, speak to our young people, speak to our African Americans. That's the names of these breakout sessions. In fact, every one of them is open to everybody.
And yet, that as somebody that's coming from a place where I've never been before, I want to be to all of those, and I'm going to attend all of those. So people that are like me, that are going up there, sign up. You don't have to sign up. Just go in.
Just go in. And the beautiful thing is, the schedule is all on our website. Who's speaking when, where.
Sure.
And if you can't be there the whole day and you want to hear someone specific, you know what time they're speaking. But my biggest problem is I want to spend time with each one of these because these are phenomenal speakers.
Exactly.
And it's you talk about a blessing and an embarrassment of riches. That's why I said that people around the country are looking at Oklahoma saying, how did you guys do this? How did you get all these speakers? And we have a compelling story.
Sure.
We are climbing out of this hole.
And that's something that I've had a discussion on the internet with some friends. And the question was, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
That's it.
One bite at a time. And where's the smallest elephant in the United States? Oklahoma is one of them.
Right.
So if we can win back Oklahoma, I'm telling you what, you would be striking at the heart of this MAGA movement that is very suppressive in nature. The whole MAGA movement, it's hate-tainment.
Yeah.
It's about who can we vote in who hates the same people that we hate.
Right.
And that is so ignorant.
It is ignorant, but more than that, it's dangerous.
It is.
We are now living in a country.
Yes.
Where are you safe to go to school? Are you safe to go to church or synagogue or to the mosque? Are you safe
or
to
the
go
mall
shopping or to the mall? And that's what happens when you create a toxic environment, and then it begins to feed on itself. And
right.
It grows and it festers.
Right.
But it's like any other disease. Once you stop it, the damage can't continue to grow. And
that's where I am getting motivation from the 1960s. When I grew up as a kid and I saw the marches and I saw the protests and I saw when we refer to the term race riot, let's understand one thing. A riot is the words and the language of the people who can't speak.
That's right.
So so I go back and I watch and I listen, and I am inspired daily to listen to the music of the late 1960s and early 1970s. I am inspired by that motivation. Let's shed this elephant that is, sitting on us. Let's start eating it one bite at a time, and let's start getting out from underneath of it to the point where we can actually start feeling good about growing among people. And
you said it, you feel good about that growth.
Right.
And honestly, all the resolutions and electing officers, that's all critical to what we're doing at convention. But what I hope every single person walks away with is a little more confidence.
Exactly.
A little more understanding, a little more believing in themselves to affect positive change. Because, we have proven, our country has proven, when you do better, I do better.
And everybody does better. Exactly.
And so this is going to be an enriching and empowering time. And I can't stress enough, there's no cost except for the Carl Albert dinner. Everything else is free. We have raised enough money just for this. some of it a nickel at a time,
Right.
because people believe in what we're doing.
Speaking of the Carl Albert dinner, let's play this.
Oklahoma Democrats, I can't wait to see you and your amazing chair, Alicia Andrews, on June 3rd. That's when we'll get together at the Carl Albert dinner to celebrate the important, necessary work of the Oklahoma Democratic Party. So please buy your tickets now. It will be a great time for a great cause. We'll see you soon.
That just gets your blood pumping right
But
there.
you know, it's not just what he says, it's the fact. You want to talk about an everyday guy? This is a man that's standing there making a video for public consumption, and he's holding his phone in front of him,
Yes.
doing the whole thing himself.
Yes.
He's not in a studio. It's
Right.
not a professional production. And I'm like, yeah, that's why we have him.
And it's spoken from the heart.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yes, this is going to be an exciting time. I can't wait to be there and be a part of it. This is, again, this is such a great opportunity for us to help promote this activity. So the convention, we've talked a great deal about that. So tell us just a little bit. We got about 10 more minutes on this, but let's talk just a little bit. I talked a little bit about the pageantry.
Mhm.
So when it opens, it's going to be a big deal. There's going to be a lot of screaming and a lot of yelling, a lot of clapping, people supporting. Then there'll be the resolutions on do we want to, Alicia Andrews is having to run for office again.
Right.
Is there somebody going to oppose her? And no matter the outcome of that, at the end of the day, we're all Democrats and we're all going to be friendly towards one another. That's the great thing about this whole thing. And Alicia's a great leader. I'm going to give her just a little bit of a plug here. From my understanding, when she started just a few years ago, the Democratic Party of Oklahoma was in serious financial problems.
I mean, we're talking very serious.
Almost to the point of bankruptcy.
Well, I mean, payroll had been missed.
Right.
Rent was way past due. It got to the point where creditors were just like, look, I'm going to come camp out at your house
Right.
to get my money. And that's not true anymore.
She turned it around. We've got a surplus now in the in the Democratic Party. Not a lot.
Thank you for saying that. I mean,
we still have a lot of room to grow, but we don't have the creditors knocking on the door no more.
And you know what that's enabled us to do? It has enabled us to do things like Oklahomans voted. We voted as the people because the legislature wouldn't move on it. We said, we want online voter registration.
Right.
We won that. Well, guess what? The legislature never appropriated the money to make it happen.
Right.
So we said 3 years ago, we'll do it ourselves.
Right.
And so if someone wants to register to vote, they go to our website, they fill out a very quick form. Within a few days, they get a pre-filled out voter registration form in their mailbox. All they do is they sign it, they check their political party, mail it back, postage paid by the party.
Good.
And so this costs no one anything. That's what you can do when you're not in debt. We have created new communications tools available to candidates, available to party officers in counties that there's no way we could have done that 4 years ago.
Right, right.
And so just to see some of the incremental steps, shoring up the foundation and building this party back one brick at a time, I'll be honest with you. I just have to someday stand back and say, wow, I am so proud of this party. Right.
And that goes to the meat of why we do what we do as Democrats. We've got breaking news. 3 minutes ago, Melissa Provenzano from House District 79, representative from Tulsa, just posted the Oklahoma House of Representatives approves a veto override of OETA.
Thank you, Lord. Ah,
Isn't that wonderful news?
that
Now it heads to the Senate.
that is such good news because do you know who we were hearing from more than anyone else about that?
The rural
Rural
and
Oklahomans.
they're the ones that we need their help to change the state around.
Yes.
And they've got to understand that they're being suppressed just like everybody's being suppressed.
And this one hit home for them. They understood when we said, you have to call your legislators.
Right.
Well, guess what? They did. And oh, I'm so proud of Melissa, and I'm so proud of all of our elected representatives because, man, you talk about strength even in small numbers. These people get up and fight battles every day that most of us wouldn't have to face in
Right.
our entire career.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's great news.
Well, I
And
thought
you broke it here.
broke it live and in person right here on Coffee with Democrats. So that's wonderful news. So I am excited to have that come across just now. So again, we're as we're winding down, to just recap what we just talked about. We have an exciting Oklahoma Democratic Party convention. It's coming up in on June 3rd and 4th, Saturday and Sunday. And it's
It's a Tulsa Convention Center.
and I've got the address for that. It's at 100 Civic Center in Tulsa. It's at the Tulsa Cox Convention Center. So we're really looking forward to having more people attend this than what we've had in the past. I mean, we've missed the last two basically because of COVID.
Right.
So this is going to be a great opportunity to meet and greet fellow Democrats. You know, I started this approximately a year ago as a pissed off Democrat who really wanted to join arms and meet more Democrats who felt the same way I was. I'm still a pissed off Democrat.
Good. That's what it takes.
It's a motivator for me.
It is.
It's not for me, it's not a negative motivator. I don't use it for harm, but I do it because it helps get me up in the morning to get onto Twitter, to challenge the narrative of the Republican and the MAGA movement and the organization that supports MAGA.
You know,
So
I think of your broadcast a lot like the old story of the stone soup, where a man comes to town and he says, you know, I'm hungry, and can you give me something to eat? And everyone around says, no, I don't have anything. And he says, well, I'm going to show you how to make stone soup. And he takes a big cauldron and fills it with water and puts it in a stone. And people laughed at him. He said, this is going to be so good, but it would be even better if we had an onion to go in it. Someone else says, well, that's interesting. I can give you a carrot. And someone else, and so it goes around the town, and pretty soon you've got a pot full of flavorful soup that nourishes everybody.
right,
And it started with nothing.
right.
And to see what you're doing, and I just have to say thank you to the folks who listen, who are tuned in today, who tune in anytime to Coffee with Democrats. Because what it gives me, and I hope it gives you folks too, is a sense that we are not by ourselves, that we are standing with other people who believe like we do, that even when we're not in total agreement, we don't take our balls and go home.
Right.
We continue to strive for what we believe to be the common good. So I couldn't leave today without thanking you for what you're doing and thanking your listeners.
Well, here, I appreciate that. Your very, very kind words, and we really appreciate that. So I told you that we have a speech that we're going to close down our conversation with. We've already talked about who we're going to have next week. But before we move on too much further, I have neglected this entire time. We do Coffee with Democrats for a specific purpose, to have coffee with one another. Today, my cup of choice was McDonald's medium roast. It's a good one. I always put 5 sweeteners, blue sweeteners, and 5 creamers into it because black just don't work for me.
I understand.
So what was your choice of coffee today?
I started drinking iced coffee in the summer probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
But now I drink it all year round.
Excellent.
So I get up in the morning, start with a glass of water just because I know I'm supposed to. But then I drink a quart of iced coffee with a little bit of half and half, and that gets me motivated for the next step in my day.
So last week I missed this because we were traveling 2 weeks in a row. My wife and I, we traveled out to Arizona for our 40th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
And we had a wonderful time, went to the Grand Canyon. And my choice for coffee that day was rum in my coffee.
Hey, yeah. After convention, that's going to be my choice too.
There you go. There you go. All right. I have a little speech that I'm going to give to everybody. And please take this for whatever you want.
Before you do that,
Sure.
I just want to say I've got to jump to another meeting, so I'm going to slip out. But you have really made my day. Thank you for inviting me. This has been an awesome time.
I appreciate everything. Thank you so much,
Thank
Scott.
you, partner.
I have myself full confidence that all Democrats doing their duty, if nothing is neglected, and if the best arrangements are made, as they are being made, we shall prove ourselves once again able to represent our state, to ride out the storm of suppression, and to outlive the menace of tyranny, if necessary for years, if necessary alone. At any rate, that is what we are going to try to do. That is the resolve of Coffee with Democrats. Every man, woman, and person, every one of them. That is the will of the people of this state. Coffee with Democrats and the Oklahoma Democratic Party and the Democratic National Committee, linked together in their cause and in their need, will defend their native soil, aiding each other like good comrades to the utmost of their strength. Even though large tracts of the U.S. and many old and famous states have fallen and may fall into the grip of MAGA and all the odious apparatus of Republican rule, we shall not flag or fail. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in Oklahoma. We shall fight in the cities and the towns. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength on the internet and in the media. We shall defend our state. Whatever the cost may be, we shall fight in the city halls. We shall fight on the ballots. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills, and we shall never surrender. And if, which I do not for a moment believe, the state or a large part of it is subjugated or suppressed, then our party beyond our state, armed and guarded by the U.S. Constitution, would carry on the struggle until in God's time, the whole world with all of its power and might steps forth to rescue and the liberation of the old Oklahoma. That is my speech. That was a very disgusting ripoff from Winston Churchill's Never Surrender speech, but I thought it was appropriate for our cause as Democrats throughout the nation. Please come back and join us next week. We have a fantastic show next week. We are excited to have everybody on here, and thanks everybody again for being on Coffee with Democrats. And until next week, please be safe.